This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Harley Race.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
This is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Mirade, joined by a man that redefines the word fabulous every time he steps out of bed, the one and only John Cena Sr. Johnny, how are you?
I'm fabulous. Great. Thanks, Dan.
Well, unbelievable feedback we've been getting on some of your Wrestling Insider promos, programs, your news, your thoughts, your opinions as you opine. It's always great to have you here in studio. A lot to talk about in the world of professional wrestling, Johnny. What about WWE? Things have freshened up after what I personally thought was a little bit of a stalemate for them. I thought the month of September into October was a little same old, some of the same main event matches, the same talent, repetitively, week after week on Raw and SmackDown. Hell in the Cell I thought would be a good wrestling show, which it certainly was on paper, but I thought there wouldn't be as much fan interest due to the fact that, I mean, they even brought the Cell into play on free TV, on Raw, in the go-home show. Pay-per-view itself, it was fine. Your good friend that you have yet to have combat with in WWE, one of the few you've failed to have combat with in WWE, Bray Wyatt became a hologram in the Seth Rollins-Dean Ambrose match.
Bray Wyatt. Let me tell you something. I've been watching and following professional wrestling for a long, long time. Papa Shango, Undertaker, great characters, great gimmicks, Mystique, Voodoo. I'll tell you what, Bray Wyatt really brings forth total darkness. There's a man that can be either a face or a heel. I think he's better off as a heel right now. He exemplifies that evil, that weirdness, that strangeness. And as I said on the last show, every performance or every show I go to, as soon as Wyatt's music hits, they must have their cell phone batteries charged because it looks like stars in the sky. The arena is totally lit up. And in terms of freshening things up, I think that this time they've really done it. With Wyatt, they're remaking him. Who knows where he's going to appear. You've got some talent now that they're beginning to push. Last night's Raw was a great example of that. Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. You know, I mean, you're looking at some good feuds here, people coming out on top. And I was real happy to see my man, my friend, the chairman of the board, re-emerge on Raw because it's the shot in the arm that it really needed. Vince is back, and I'm going to tell you something. Knowing VKM, if I were the authority, like the magician, something up his sleeve.
Well, the big push began for Survivor Series Sunday night, November the 23rd, from St. Louis, Missouri. It's going to be Team Cena against the Authority in a traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match, which I think is great. I'd love to see them go back to that format entirely, where it's not as much of a risk with the network in play the way that it is now. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the program continues. Who do you think is going to wind up on Team Cena? It looks like Team Orton could be headed that way. What a match between Randy Orton and Seth Rollins last night, and what a conclusion. It almost seems like they took 2 weeks of angles and put it into one show, which I think they could have got a little bit more bang for their buck. But the show is over now, and it was executed. It was fantastic between Orton turning on the Authority and then everybody but Triple H getting a piece of Randy Orton as they laid him out. A bloody Randy Orton at that.
Yeah, he got concussed at the end, I guess, was taken out in a stretcher, was in pretty tough shape. As a matter of fact, I think he's going to be sidelined for 2 or 3 weeks. due to his injuries. I would not say that Triple H will never get a piece of Randy Orton. I think that's coming. I really do think that's coming. In terms of who's going to be on whose team, John Cena's team, maybe you've got already one of the, I think, an outstanding young talent that's coming up real fast, Dolph Ziggler. I have a lot of respect for Dolph. There's a guy that, and Triple H made it very clear, reaches the top and falls to the bottom, reaches the top and falls to the bottom. Ziggler is main event. I think you'd probably see Dean Ambrose on Team Cena.
No, he's going one-on-one with Bray Wyatt unless they decide to change that.
They may or they may not. I don't know who else you would garner to be on Cena's side. A Sheamus, now that he's lost the U.S. belt to Rusev. So maybe Sheamus, Ziggler.
You know who I certainly think would be a member of Team Cena at Survivor Series and would really make an impact in that main event match? A guy that I've been waiting 2 years now, 2 years for the clock to turn for, and that's Ryback. What an impression he's made since he's come back from his surgery, being the Ryback that the fans fell in love with in the summer of 2012 when he was going out and beating guys in 2-on-1 handicap matches. He's back, he's healthy. He doesn't appear to be in the tag team anymore with Michael McGillicuddy. What did they call him? Curtis Axel? Yeah.
Curtis Axel, right.
Ryback can be a force. He was a guy that the fans were willing to pay money to see up until he kind of slipped on the banana peel of bad booking when they ran into the situation at Hell in the Cell 2012 when your son John Cena was injured. And Ryback was forced into that position to have his losing streak end, where they had the CM Punk Rock scenario to play out in the winter leading into WrestleMania 29 in New York. There really wasn't any other finish but for Ryback to lose, and they didn't have any other baby faces ready to wrestle Punk. Then he lost at Survivor Series in a three-way to Punk and Cena. Then he lost to The Shield when he teamed up with Kane and Daniel Bryan at the TLC pay-per-view. There were 4 or 5 pay-per-views in a row he didn't win at. He didn't win at WrestleMania against Mark Henry, which baffled me at the time. Your thoughts on Ryback as being a big-time player in WWE now that he's back and perhaps better and healthier than ever?
Well, 2 things. First, I really wonder if Ryback was injured. Said he went out for surgery, said he had some things done, had to take care of some things.
Well, they put a video up online of him in the hospital bed.
Yeah, well, but you know what? I saw that video.
Oh, really? You doubt the validity of the video?
Yeah, I really do. You know what? They're going to come down and beat me up, I'm sure. I doubt the validity of the video. I think what needed to be done was done, however they did it. Whether it was his illness, whether it was surgery, whether it was mental illness, I don't care what it was. And I'm just being wise when I say that. No slur intended to any sickness, and that I include that. But my whole thing was they kept Ryback off TV. They worked, repackaged, and brought him back under the right set of circumstances. And I do believe if they continue, as you say, with the booking that they've got Ryback involved in now, and Ryback continues to go in the direction that he's going, I could see him on Team Cena. I could see him being the man to beat Rusev.
Hey, that could be an interesting match right there if you wanted to kind of play fantasy booker and break up what's already in the planning stages for WrestleMania 31 this March. It was a shame at what happened, and they really didn't have any other way to go at that point. But Ryback was a guy that if they went the slow course instead of the quick course, right now could have already been where many projected him to be, but he's getting a second chance, which isn't a bad thing. No. This show needs it. Yep. They need as many fresh bodies as they can to continue to fill those 5 hours of broadcast television shows each week.
Well, you know how I feel about 3 hours of TV.
It's too much.
I think it's too much. It's like doing a professional wrestling show with a DM. I won't give you the real name of the individual I'm talking about. DM, instead of having a 2-hour show, ends up being 3.5 hours long. It just is too much. Fans leave, they're bored.
Dean Malenko?
That's it. Yeah. Professional wrestling gets a bad name. So you know what? I think Ryback is the right place at the right time. Maybe he will be on Team Cena. Definitely we've got Dolph Ziggler. I think Sheamus is going to appear on Team Cena. So now you have, and if you include Ryback, so there's Cena, Ziggler, Sheamus, Ryback, that gives us 4. Now it's only the 5th member, and of course that's going to be me. I don't think so.
You have one main event under your belt.
I have one main event under
You
my
have never
belt.
not main evented on a WWE event you've competed on. How many people can say that? You were in the main event the first night out.
They were very kind to me, and I got my ass kicked, to put it bluntly, by one Randall Orton. He literally beat the living stuffing out of me, and that RKO really did hurt when I hit that mat. Believe me when I tell you that. I was knocked out, in addition to that stupid kick that knocked me out. So, but the 5th member, I sit back and I say, is there somebody they want to bring back that we don't know about, that will be the surprise 5th member? I'm just, will it be Hulk Hogan? Will that be the 5th member? Will it be Ric Flair? Could it be a Roddy Piper? Could it be somebody from the past that Cena's going to bring back to solidify this team? I'll tell you who I'd like to see be the 5th member of the team. Triple H is on the Authorities team, is that correct?
I'm not sure. They haven't announced it officially.
Well, if he
You'd think,
if he is, guess who the 5th member of my team would be?
Who?
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Really?
You want to sell the show, you want this house to come down, don't announce who it is. Cena comes out and says, guess what? I have a surprise 5th member of my team. It will be announced at Survivor Series, and it will be a total surprise. Then it comes on. We have 5 here, 4 here. Cena's in the ring. Ha, ha, ha. There's only 4. No. There is 5. And the Authority, I just want you to know right now that you probably now have no chance. Bang, hits the music. Out comes Vince. And I think, my friend, we have one hell of a pay-per-view.
Well, I tell you, adding a quote-unquote legend to a match like that that's a multi-person match, it's a great way to use them because they don't have to be in the ring for the entire matchup.
Nope, don't have to work hard, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they can be there and bring us what they knew how to do and still know how to do, entertain, wrestle, get back, and let the younger men today take over and do what they need done. That's just my thoughts. I don't write the shows. I've got a lot of different theories on what I'd like to see and how I'd like to see it, but I do think the VKM would be a total swerve. Nobody would ever in 100 years expect that. But I don't think VKM is ready to get back in the ring and do that sort of thing. So the 5th member, I look over the roster and I go, who would you put in there as your 5th member? You can't do Mark Henry. I mean, you can't do Mark Henry. He's heel now. Big Show is going against Mark Henry. So who really do you have that you would put on your team?
I know a lot of the fans on Twitter have been lighting things up, wondering if perhaps with Stephanie McMahon presumably in the corner of the Authority, if perhaps they may bring you out as the manager of Team Cena.
You know, Dan?
Maybe handcuffed at ringside to prevent any outside interference.
You never know. The WWE is a mystery, and it's just like getting kicked in the head, being placed in a main event. You have no idea what's going to happen. WWE provides some of the best professional wrestling entertainment in the world. So I'm not going to say you're right. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just going to say it depends. But who that 5th member of that team is going to be, I sit back and say to myself, I just can't think of who they would bring out that would I tell you who I'd like to see there, but he's a heel. I certainly like to see a Cesaro. I think there's an up-and-coming individual that can use the shine. But I don't know. Who you get for the 5th person remains to be seen. And will I be the manager for Team Cena? We'll see.
Unbelievable. You mentioned Cesaro, Johnny. There is a guy, he's been in my thoughts a lot the past few weeks as far as being someone that's underutilized, absolutely. But it seems that a lot of folks seem to think the one drawback to him is that he's not a great mouthpiece. And if that's the case, look at where he's been in 2014. He began the year teaming with Jack Swagger, managed by Zeb Coulter. They took Zeb Coulter away. Then he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is arguably the most over he's been in WWE, and they put him with Paul Heyman. And then they took Paul Heyman away from him. So if you have this outstanding talent that perhaps isn't quite where he may wind up being, why take the mouthpieces away? And B, what do you think it'll take for him to get to that point now alone, if that's what his future is going to be? Would it be a babyface turn for Cesaro with his massive swing that he doesn't use anymore?
Well, I guess, you know how I feel about this, and my answer is simple. I don't think they ever should have taken away managers to start with. I'll give you a great example. Rusev, you're nothing without Lana. He's nothing. She is the antagonist. She gets the crowd upset. She's the one that makes sure that his wins are documented, that she downs this, and I mean this, great country of America. She's the one that puts Rusev over. So if you take a mouthpiece like, and I got to say this, the best in the business, Paul Heyman, and give him a Cesaro, it's an automatic. People like Cesaro and other wrestlers who can wrestle, but Brock Lesnar can't use the stick. Why is he with Paul Heyman? Because he can't talk. He can wrestle his ass off, but he certainly can't talk. So you find a good manager. Captain Lou Albano, rest in peace. The Grand Wizard, rest in peace. Bobby Heenan. Find somebody that can talk. Let them do what needs to be done, and then you've got a key wrestler. And I think that's what Cesaro needs. Remember, Cesaro has a different look. He doesn't have that quote-unquote pro wrestler look that most of your WWE superstars have. He wrestles in a completely different manner, speaks several different languages. So my whole contention is, I'm right back to where I started from. Managers need to be brought back in professional wrestling. Paul Heyman exemplifies that. Lana exemplifies that. Vicky Guerrero exemplified that, not only as a manager, but as a GM. So I think if you do these types of things, I think people like Cesaro, Lesnar's, other people who cannot articulate but can wrestle their butts off will be over and very successful.
Well, one thing that really surprised me, and I think they kind of missed the boat on it, was all the publicity that Daniel Bryan got from being a part of the World Series parade with the Giants, where they kind of took his yes, yes, yes quote and used it during the baseball games, which led them to the championship in Kansas City. You know, on a show, a 3-hour show that had so much repetitive material on it, it was a great show. I really enjoyed this week. But why not throw some clips of that out there and show one of their top stars, even though he's injured, out with one of the biggest things happening in sports?
I think they utilize it to the best of their ability. They
put it online, but I think it would have looked good on the TV show.
I don't disagree. It's been picked up by all the national sports networks. Newspapers have picked it up. Nobody understands why things are done. Nobody. I think their focus was not on Daniel Bryan. And you got to remember something. I think that when you do a show the caliber of WWE and you have a focus, you don't want to take away from that focus. And any mention of Bryan, even CM Punk, who, you know how I feel about CM Punk, great star, but he just did it the wrong way. I'm sorry, Phil did it the wrong way. So I think their intention was not to pass Daniel Bryan by. I think it was to remain focused on the key of that night, and that was the intensity of the authority, the intensity of Rollins and Orton, and maintain that fight, Ziggler against the authority. I mean, this was amazing. And so I think, to bring that in would have completely turned the direction from where they were going, no offense, Daniel, directly to Daniel Bryan. The crowd now would have began with a yes, yes, yes chant. You now would have turned the show upside down. So I don't think they did the wrong thing. I think they did the right thing. And those are the types of decisions that are difficult to make for people running the show and difficult for fans to understand, like yourself on the outside.
Well, Dolph Ziggler, a man we've mentioned, finally seems like he's getting to a place where I feel is long overdue. You talked a little while ago about him finally getting to that point. You got to remember, a year and a half ago, this is a guy that they put the World Championship on.
You got to understand this business, and I'm sure you do. You've been at this a long time. There's an old saying I have, before putting your mouth in motion, be sure your brain's in gear. That's all I'm going to say. I think that as you go through this business, you learn. And hopefully you learn. And I think Ziggler, an outstanding athlete, great performer, I think is now on the way back because he's learned. He understands. And I think you're going to start seeing great things from Dolph Ziggler. I would not be surprised if you don't see Ziggler with a championship belt other than the one he carries now, the Intercontinental. Is that it? Or
Yes. Yep.
Champion. He may be a contender for the World Heavyweight Champion. Once either Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, or Seth Rollins picks up that belt.
I think Dolph Ziggler, and I mean this as a compliment, even though present day the Intercontinental Championship isn't treated with as much prestige as it was back in the day, Dolph Ziggler would have been a prototype, no pun intended, of what an Intercontinental Champion back in the 80s and early 90s was. He could have been a quote-unquote classic Intercontinental Champion. Not to say that he doesn't belong to go higher than that. I believe that he certainly could. I think it was lousy circumstances that led to him having to turn the belt in. If you remember the night after WrestleMania 29 in, I said New York, I think earlier, in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yep.
When he cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, that was one of the more memorable moments in Raw history, and I'll debate that with anyone that disagrees with me. You know, you can have what goes on behind the scenes. Unless you're there, you really never know. People can talk about that, but at the end of the day, you have 5 hours of original TV between Raw and SmackDown. You have the main event show that they really want to push for the WWE Network. You have a pay-per-view once a month. That's another 3 hours. You need as many fresh guys as humanly possible. And Dolph Ziggler is someone that has been, I don't think he ever stopped being over with the fan base. If the fan base is willing to support someone, spend money on the merchandise, support them at the shows, I don't know why you reject that so much. And I really think that went on for way too long. To not have that man featured in a match at WrestleMania blew me away, because he belonged on the main card, not in the Battle Royal, but that's a different story for a different time. I'd really like to see the brand extension come back into place, because it creates more stars. It gives guys more opportunity to get over that, you know, aren't featured when you have the same group of stars on Raw and SmackDown each week. And if they ever got to that point again, you could really see some opportunities created for people. I understand that they want to fill the two programs with as much star power as possible, but it's difficult to create stars when all of those opportunities are pretty much eaten up. And you're talking about, these are newer opportunities being given to Seth Rollins to be in a main event spot every week, to a Roman Reigns when he comes back from his surgery, to Dean Ambrose, to the Wyatts and so on. These are relatively new players in the game, but still at this point where they're on TV so much, it still feels like it's a little stale sometimes and that they need a break. We mentioned earlier when we were talking before the program where John Cena missed Raw last night. I didn't think that was a bad thing at all. I think if everybody was limited to maybe 2 or 3 appearances a month on free television, it would really freshen up the main event players and give fans even more reason to subscribe to the network to pay to see those feature matches on pay-per-view.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think with the number of injuries they've had,
yes,
I think it's impossible to do what you're saying. And so you take a guy like Cena and you fill it. Here it is. Put somebody in there. You take a guy like Ambrose. Here, throw him in. And they're doing double duty. They're working twice as hard to give the fans what they want, and that's the highest quality of professional wrestling in the world. So I think that's part of the problem that they're faced with right now. I mean, you had your world champion go out on an injury, Daniel Bryan. Bingo. Right after he won it, it's over. Then right after that, you got Roman Reigns. Bang, he's gone. You know, so you're taking all your bang, and it's gone. Now, who do you fill your void with? You mentioned Ryback having to fill in for Cena. Tough. You also mentioned earlier for the show last night, and I don't know if it's, you know, I believe you 100%, but Cena wasn't there. Good or bad, I don't know why he wasn't there.
You know, this is what gets me, because you have to look at it from 2 points of view. It's an absolutely horrid situation for the fans live, because they, you know, you have, especially at the Raw shows, the Cena sucks, we want Cena.
Been
but
there.
for all the kids that want to go to see the show, they want to see John Cena. If you look at just about any episode of Raw or SmackDown as an isolated show, just say you watch one a month, I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10, you're going to watch a pretty good show. It's those fans that watch every week, and I'd like to think WWE wants me, you, all fans to watch every week. that's when it becomes a bit repetitive. But for fans that want to go to the events live, you're almost doing them a disservice by not featuring John Cena. That's why back in the days of the old school TV tapings when they did Challenge and Superstars and such, guys like Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and so on, they wouldn't wrestle all that much on free TV, but they'd have the dark matches afterwards. So you hate to think about the kids that might have been disappointed that Cena wasn't there last night, but it's just like the WWE live presentations. You can't go wrong.
Well, I'm gonna correct you on one thing, and I hear this when I wrestle. I hear this when I manage. No matter where I go, New Jersey, Florida, New York, wherever I'm going. Yeah.
From sea to shining sea.
Everybody says it's the kids that want to see John Cena. Let me tell you something right now. I've been to restaurants, I've been at shows, and adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s have walked up to me and said, "Thank you." For what? For John Cena. Why? He's such a great role model for these young people today. The things that he's done with the Make-A-Wish, and these are not, hey, I want the publicity. He does it because he loves it. He does the Make-A-Wish because he's sincere and loves these kids. I can't tell you how my son really enjoys this Make-A-Wish thing and granting these sometimes last wishes for these kids. So, you know what? I'm tired. I really am tired, and maybe I'll start a controversy. Maybe I'll start a tweet. Do your research, brother. It isn't 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, and 16-year-old girls. Trust me when I tell you, it's parents, it's older people, senior citizens who tell me how good John Cena is, how they won't watch the show if he's not there, or they look forward to seeing Cena. So you know what? I'll believe what you say when you produce the figures to show it. But I'm telling you that, as Paul Harvey would say, now you've heard the other side of the story, and you're hearing it from somebody, and people may go, well, you're his old man, you're biased. I'm not.
You are very unbiased, I will give you that.
I'm not. I mean, I've been in the ring, I was in Florida, and I'm listening to, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. Let's go Cena, Cena sucks. To which they thought, I'm going to react to this. Well, first of all, I'm not John Cena.
No, you are, but that's...
John Cena Sr., it's true, but, you know, I'll never forget, I was in Boston Garden, and Cena was coming out to do the match, and there's these 6 men, not 10, not 6, not 8, 30, 35, 40 years old behind me. Cena sucks. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Finally, I turned around. And you know what I said to them? Guys, we're having a lot of fun tonight because that's what it is when you go to a WWE event. I said, but do me a favor. If you're going to say Cena sucks, would you do me a favor? And they said, what is it? At least take off his T-shirts. Every one of these guys had a Cena T-shirt on. So, you know what? This let's go Cena, Cena sucks thing, it's kind of like the Bray Wyatt, the sheep following the shepherd. It's kind of like, it's a nice thing to do. AJ Lee comes out. Why do they chant CM Punk? AJ Lee is her own person. She's a tremendous diva, a tremendous women's wrestler. She doesn't need CM Punk. Never did, never will in the world of professional wrestling. Her private life, God bless them both, and I mean that. So you know what? Let's be real. It's not 6, 7, and 8-year-old kids. It's not 13, 14, and 15-year-old ladies. I can tell you right now, if you do the work and you do the math, you're going to find out that a lot of these people are wrong. And you know what? Keep it up, because pretty soon, you can't see me.
Well, you have a lot of kids that dressed up as Cena for Halloween. Do you see a lot of people in a retirement home wearing the neon green John Cena shirts?
I do.
You do?
I do see people.
You do?
I do see people wearing John Cena shirts in wheelchairs.
Really?
And in nursing homes. I do. And little kids will dress up as, gee, they dressed up as John Cena. Gee, let's see. They also dressed up as Michael Myers, Dan Mirade, John Cena Sr., Ghostbusters. You prove nothing to me other than I take somebody that I think I want to be, and I emulate that figure by dressing up for Halloween. The message that John brings to the wrestling world is the real deal. The hustle, loyalty, and respect is not BS. That's fact. That's real. What he tells about bullying and working hard and achieving your goals, that's real. Sometime we'll do an interview, and I'll tell you how he moved to California, how he lived in his car, how he ate power bars, protein bars, worked 80 hours a week at Gold's Gym, slept in that car, showered in that gym, worked 80 hours and pumped iron, and how he got discovered to get into professional wrestling. You know, people think he walked in, bingo, that's it, this is the guy. Doesn't work that way.
No.
So, you know what? Say what you want, think what you want. I respect you for whatever you say and how you see it. Thank God, God bless America, you have a right to your opinion. But when you start to deal in facts, all I'm going to say is this. Just make sure the facts are real.
I think one thing that proves your point is for fans that attend maybe the non-televised events, you don't get as much as that Cena sucks, let's go Cena. I think a lot of the times you have the more mature fans at the TV tapings, almost like they want to be a part of the show when they get into those chants, like the CM Punk, the same thing with the Cena sucks. Maybe the TV appeal has something to do with it.
I'm sure.
Because you don't see it at the live events.
No.
He gets a great reaction at what they'd call a house show, a WWE live event.
Right. But when he's in Boston, it's the same thing. If it's a Raw show, you get the let's go Cena, Cena sucks. He gets out, he takes the beat down, stares the throne. I'll tell you what, that street fight he had with Seth Rollins, that is a pay-per-view match in itself. I'm telling you, Dan, I've seen a lot of matches, and I've been around a long time in this business, and that match, without a doubt, was pay-per-view quality.
You're referring to the house show in Providence they had back in early October.
That's the one they did it again in Mass Mutual, the same show. But I'll tell you what, even a Raw show, let's go Cena, he comes out, they're all yelling Cena sucks, but yet it's funny. When he gets the 1, 2, 3 and his hand gets raised, that seems to go away. It's like, rah! And it's kind of like, I don't believe this. Either you are or you aren't. So, you know, I'm kind of believing this. Yes, there are those people that feel enough is enough. That's fine. That's true with any superstar. The way I feel and the way you feel. But when I look at the way it's happening, to me, it's just a thing to do. It's a thing to start. It's a thing to say. In Florida, when I did the show, it was let's go Cena, Cena sucks. I was a special guest referee. You know, you can't ref, blah, blah, blah. Cena sucks. 1, 2, 3 count. It was Amani, who was the heel. He came in, ripped my tie off, spit on my glasses, threw him out of the ring. Let's go Cena, Cena sucks. I gave him the kick to the stomach, picked him up, and actually gave him the attitude adjustment.
You love to give the attitude adjustment.
My son will kill me, but I did that, and I locked in the STF. And you know what? There were no more Cena sucks. The promoter came to me and he said, I don't know what you did, but they're up on their feet and they're applauding. So whatever you do, whatever you say, it's fun. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to enjoy. Say what you feel. You bought the ticket. You have that right. You have that right. So whatever you want to do, do it. Just make sure you don't hurt anybody doing it, and don't make those, what I call, and I've said this on several shows before, comments that I think are absolutely horrible regarding either John Cena Jr., regarding Hulk Hogan, regarding any wrestler. I hope they break their leg, they have a major heart attack, you know, they never get back in this business. You know what? Those kinds of curses and those kinds of words tell me the type of person you are. And
what shows are you watching?
Don't even have to show.
The ECW Arena?
Nope.
Back in the mid-90s?
Go to a show. Go to a message board like WrestleZone.com.
Oh, well, those are just the internet warriors.
ICW people. And those are the people I'm talking about. You know what? If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Or, to the ICW people out there, and I'm sure I'll be the next target, you can still say the same thing, but say it in a professional, educational way.
Well, put your name to it. That's all.
No guts, no glory. Yeah,
Exactly.
They won't do it. They use those little phony names like Clowney, like John Cena Sr., Ted DiBiase, Dan Mirade Jr., you know.
If they have to sink that low, my God.
Well, but you know what I'm saying? So I agree. And those are the types of things I don't like. Those types of things, you know, when my youngest son was battling his problem, and knock on wood, and thank you, Jesus, and I mean that, thank you, Lord, he's been doing very well, and hopefully things will continue to improve. But they all thought it was a work by Cena to get more attention.
No,
let me tell you
no,
something. Yeah, but that ICW Warriors, You know what? Think before you do this stuff. You have no idea what you're saying. No idea. All this stuff that they write, they think they know. Well, if, you know, my father, God rest his soul, he used to have a saying, and I say the same thing. If you know so much, why aren't you rich? And I'm going to end it right there.
Unbelievable. With that, fans, we'll take a brief timeout. When we come back, we'll have more on WWE Network. Things going on here in the Millennium Wrestling Federation. Stand by.
You already know Kowloon Restaurant, established in 1950 and spanning 4 generations, serves a multi-Asian menu. Did you also know that Kowloon Restaurant is New England's premier Asian dining and entertainment complex, serving Cantonese, Szechuan, Thai, and Polynesian cuisine? And did you know that Kowloon Restaurant is also the home of the finest Japanese sushi? If you haven't dined at Kowloon Restaurant lately, then you simply haven't dined at Kowloon. Kowloon Restaurant, Route 1 North in Saugus.
How does one create history? By beginnings, wars, innovation, success. In over 200 pages, explore 50 years of WWE's historical reign in sports entertainment. WWE 50. Available March 31st. Pre-order now online or wherever books are sold.
Wrestling fans, welcome back, Johnny. After seeing that, you know what I'm in the mood for.
If I were to guess right now, Dan, I would say it's ribs, ragoon, saugus wings, and spicy beef at the only place I know of where you get the best Chinese food in New England, and that has to be the Kowloon on Route 1 Saugus.
The home of our 2013 holiday headlocks, as well as this Mick Foley comedy concert.
Yeah, we had a great night. I remember that distinctly. That was a great night. That was a sellout. We had a great time there. DiBiase, Deborah, Al Snow, and Deborah. Let's see.
And Deborah.
We had Papa Shango. We had The Godfather. I think that was a great night. The fans enjoyed it. I know I did. The food was great. And, of course, the Foley comedy show. And I said it was just outstanding. I hope they bring him back again next year. Mick is an outstanding performer. So Kowloon, food, comedy, best place.
Well, if you're watching this on Tuesday night, November the 4th, we'll actually have news about this year's Holiday Headlocks Endeavor tomorrow on the BostonWrestling.com super site. So we have a lot of goodwill. You know, Johnny, one thing I love Christmas, and I love to do things to help these causes for the kids, and we're going to do that once again this year, which is an apropos time.
Let's reach out because, you know, I'm always a firm believer that everybody needs a hand.
Yes.
So today's society is so geared up with the I theory. Everything is I or me. And when somebody is hungry and somebody is cold or somebody needs Christmas presents, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. But you do. It's just you only care about one person, and that's yourself. And if we open up a little bit and do what we're going to do, and other people will do it, then it'll be a Merry Christmas for an awful lot of people.
Unbelievable. We'll talk more about that again tomorrow on BostonWrestling.com. I almost forgot to mention it. It's November the 4th. It happens to be the birthday of one of your dear friends, Linda Mirade, in the Millennium Wrestling Federation. She must be about 45, 50 by now. She put up on her Amazon wish list, she wanted a new broom to fly around on.
A new broom to fly around. Well, as you know, the relationship with Linda Mirade has ended. That was a business, a relationship. She is definitely not an honest business person, definitely not a person who sticks to her word. We'll see what happens in the future with Linda Mirade, but trick or treat.
Wow, John Cena Sr. firing away. Let's talk about the WWE Network, Johnny. A lot to talk about there, including last night after Raw went off the air for the first time. Instead of having a post-game show, they had a feature matchup, which was Rusev defeating Sheamus to become the new WWE U.S. champ.
Well, I got to tell you something. I don't know how you feel, and I probably, again, will get myself in trouble. I don't think they did Sheamus any favors with that match against the Tyson Kid. I don't like...
You're not a fan of that character.
Who's that?
The Tyson Kid listening to the music. You were very angry about that last time you were here.
You know what? I've seen him live. The gentleman, Tyson Kidd, is an outstanding wrestler and performer. But to do what they did last night, using his wife as a shield, and then to have Sheamus be counted out, I'll tell you what, Sheamus should have squashed him. It should have been a great match for Sheamus. He should have hulked up, a pun intended, and he's going to take care of Rusev. Here's a man that just had a match, got beat lousily, and now he's going against Rusev. Whether the intent was, guess what? He had a great match, but he really didn't get beat, so there's enough gas in the tank to go against this man. Not my cup of tea. Rusev winning the United States Championship, that's just another slap in the face of America, where they can hype the character, build the hatred, and once again, Lana did her job and did it well. Rusev did the beating up. You know, what happened with Sheamus was he never tapped. He blacked out. So here you are, Lana now bragging, Sheamus without a belt, and Rusev now a United States Championship, a man who doesn't even care about this country. So we better have somebody get in there quick and take that belt from him. But I just didn't like the way the whole thing went down. But again, in turn, complimenting the WWE Network, because if you don't have it, how can you beat it this month? You get it free. Free. And you get the pay-per-view Survivor Series free, and they're actually back to doing Survivor Series. When? Thanksgiving. It's now back to tradition the way it used to be.
Well, the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
Right. Okay. So they're back doing it the way they used to do it.
I'd love to see a Thanksgiving night again, but that's a different story. For
yeah,
a different time.
I'm with you. I think that was good because, you know what? You're full of turkey, and the one thing you need is something to watch, and it was always great to plonk down in front of the TV with that cranberry stuff and, turkey sandwich and turn that on and just enjoy a great night of professional wrestling. But be that as it may, you can't beat it for the price. There's no commitment now. $9.99, no 6-month, cancel when you want. How can you beat this? And after last night, getting that match free? Come on, let's be real. But that's my thought on the way they handled Sheamus and the ultimate finish there. I'm not a big fan of that.
Sheamus is someone that needs a fresh coat of paint.
Definitely.
No pun intended due to his pale skin. But, I mean, he's a great talent. He's held the World Championship before, but it just seems like he needs a little something to get him up to that next level. As I think Sheamus could be someone that could be a top guy.
He could be a world champion.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. He has the look. And when he says, I like to fight, like Finlay says, believe me when I tell you, Sheamus likes to fight. And I just think that the character now has to morph into something more aggressive, more dark, whatever you want to call it. That's why Bray Wyatt's so successful. So you take Sheamus, and maybe now it's a good time to morph him the other way, but change the physical features of what you see. So I agree with you 100%. I think Sheamus is main event.
What about Rusev? I feel the way they've executed his character since he's debuted has been great.
I think they've done a tremendous job with Rusev. I think that when he came on the scene, people were kind of like, yeah, okay, he's going to get beat, it's going to be over. But they really have done an outstanding job, like they did with the Iron Sheik, Sergeant Slaughter, people turning on this country. Because if it wasn't for this country, Rusev wouldn't be making the money he's making right now in the United States of America, So you have Lana, who's the mouthpiece, because he obviously is not very good on the stick. She does an outstanding job. She was on the HBO specials, if you remember. I can't think of that show. The convict, the sheriff got shot, and he took over as the sheriff spot. She was in episode 1.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very interesting. She played a good part. And both Rusev and Lana are an item, I guess. And I think they work very, very well together. Now the question becomes how successful it will be and how soon will people get tired of this.
What do you think of the match that's been talked about around the offices in Connecticut of Cena against Rusev at WrestleMania 31, perhaps with his streak on the line?
With whose streak on the line? I don't think that's a WrestleMania match.
Really?
I'm sorry. I really, really don't. I think that if you're going to do a WrestleMania match, it's got to be a WrestleMania match. Cena against Rusev, that's a pay-per-view match, not a WrestleMania match. Right. And I'm not taking any away from Rusev. I'm not trying to take any away from Cena. But maybe if you did a tag match of Cena and Sheamus against Rusev and some other heel and really worked it a good storyline on that, they may be a WrestleMania match. Who's going to defeat Rusev at the end? I don't know. I'm hoping it's Ryback. I really am. I think this
crowd would go nuts for him going up for Ryback's finisher.
I think this would be outstanding. But you have to be very careful what you do because you don't want to destroy the Rusev character. I think they should teach Lana to wrestle. And I would think now we should start seeing some mixed tag matches. United States against Russia. Let's see how good they really are. We could mix that well because we could even throw a Russian referee in there, so now it becomes biased.
Oh, that'd be interesting. We'll have a red shirt.
I don't write the stuff. I just think it up.
I like that.
So there's all kinds of tickets and dimes we can play with, but I think that we could really make this thing into something that is very, very interesting.
That wouldn't be bad. You know, I'm going to go a little further with your idea. Maybe use that, bring that into play to freshen up Rusev after he loses for the first time. Have it maybe be disputed a little bit, and then Lana brings in a referee from Russia to officiate some of Rusev's matches. I think they could get some great heat.
You get a lot of heat on that, and then she now shoves a women's champion because she comes out to defend the flag in the country. She attacks American womanhood. Maybe it's an Natalia who can really wrestle, or an AJ Lee, who I have a great deal of respect for. This young lady who could wrestle the daylights out of anyone, Paige, a lot of respect for her. And now we end up with slaps across the face. Rusev starts to come forward. Out comes a Ryback, out comes a Cena, out comes a Dolph Ziggler, out comes a Sheamus, and now we've got an intergender tag match, and we've got a special guest referee. That's the stipulation in the contract, and Lana gets to pick him, and he's from Russia. This thing could go on forever. It's just very interesting the way it could play out, but you have to be very careful how you end that streak so you don't destroy the character.
Interesting enough. Well, Johnny, the WWE had their quarterly business meeting not too long ago. The number that everyone wants to hear about now was released. WWE Network was up 4% to 731,000. They had gains, I believe, of 286,000 new subscribers, but they were almost as many that unsubscribed. What do you think about where WWE Network is now? They're giving away the network for free in November, as you mentioned. What is it going to take to get WWE to the levels that they'd really like it to get to?
I think they need to change the programming. I think they need to give the fans what they want, and that's wrestling. I think last night was a great start. Rusev versus Sheamus.
You like the idea of having a match right after Raw ends?
Outstanding. Outstanding. You've got a reason to stay tuned. You know, it's like when Raw used to go to 11:05 or 11:15. You hung on for that extra 15 minutes for that cliffhanger that was going to bring you to the next end. I mean, I don't think in my mind there was any doubt that Rusev was going to win last night. And I'm not trying to say we all knew, but it just seemed the next level would be that, but you had to wait and see. So I think the WWE Network can be very, 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 very successful, but they need to provide what you want. When you go to a restaurant, if the food's not there, you'll try it once and not go back. And a lot of people have tried it once, waited for their commitment to end, and said, it's just not what I want. They're not giving me what I want. One of the things I see coming up that I can't wait to watch is the McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff. I mean, that's classic. That in itself is worth $10. So I think if they continue to do these types of things, they'll gain the membership. I don't think they're really quite at 700 and that number you gave. I think that you take out the number of non-domestic subscribers. They were looking for a certain number in the United States. I think they're below 700,000 in the United States.
No, it was 731.
Well,
I don't know about for the breakdown.
6 and some
as far
change.
As domestic
it's
and
6 and some
international.
change domestic,
okay.
and I think it's 150 or 200,000 the other way. But maybe this will help the free November. But I think they've got to change the programming and what they offer, and the true wrestling fans who are looking for what they wanted. I love the old 24/7.
Yes.
Bring
the
that
Legends
up.
of Wrestling program. That's great.
See, that's
More of them.
That's what they need.
They're not that expensive to produce.
But that's what they need. And I think if they begin to do stuff like that, you're now going to have people pay the $9.99 to begin to watch it. And remember, you're trying to attract the avid, the hardcore wrestling fan. With what's happened in professional wrestling today, it's an up and down syndrome. We're in a down syndrome. It's starting to swing back up a little bit. But and you're dealing with a group of fickle people, if I can use that without insulting anybody, because I don't mean to do that. But, oh yeah, sounds great, let's buy it. And then they go, nah, this is what I want. What do I spend $10 for? I didn't buy the pay-per-views anyway. I'll wait till Monday night. On Raw, they'll give me the highlights, and I'll see who won anyhow. And so those are the types of things that I think are hurting them. If they begin to change that, I think they have a very good chance at reaching the 1 million subscribers, because I'll tell you what, their stock was down to $12.19 a share.
A bargain.
I think it's up to $13 and some change now. I should have bought 100 shares, and maybe I still will, with some Fabo bucks. But the stock has really taken a dive, and if the WWE Network doesn't work, then the stock will slide even further. And then the question becomes, do you hold or do you sell the company? I think that's the big question right there.
I was surprised by the number that they released at the 731,000. I thought when they opened up the network to 100-some countries that it would have been a bigger number than that. But again, with so many people that canceled, that negated all of it.
It offset everything. You had 255,000 that canceled, and it still isn't in Great Britain. And they're diehard fans, and so I don't know why it hasn't opened up. You've got a problem in Canada where you're not getting Survivor Series free. There's all
because they're on television.
But it's an all. But what's the point? Do you understand where I'm going here?
Well, no, they're technically not the WWE Network. I can't think of the name. It's WWE fill in the blank. It has a different name, which I guess in a sense is the reason why it's not the $9.99 per month. But I think at the end of the day, you know, I'd like to see more things like documentaries. WWE makes great DVDs. There's a lot of guys that they haven't made DVDs of because they may not be, you know, weren't a top guy their whole career. But what about just looking at some of the action figures? What about an hour documentary on someone like the Big Boss Man, Ted DiBiase, Miss Elizabeth? Guys that they wouldn't spend the money on to do a DVD release, but to diehard wrestling fans, they might really enjoy sitting down on the network to watch an hour of original programming like that. I think as far as wrestling content goes, they're getting enough. And until the point comes to where they want more, I don't know that the average wrestling fan is going to dip into their pocket to spend another $10. When you mentioned you could find out the next night on Raw what the pay-per-view results are, in a lot of cases you see the same match the next night.
Amen. And you know, one of the things I thought about also was Halloween was we had just had Halloween. Why not offer a Hogswallows movie, Leprechaun? Why not put on See No Evil 1 so that you really got something bang for your buck? I mean, let's be real. I can go to Netflix and see most of the WWE DVDs. They're up there for free. I pay my $7.95 or $11 a month. I get my 3 discs every time I want 3 movies. I get all I want to watch for free on my TV. So think about what you're up against, and think about what you're trying to sell and to whom it is you're trying to market it. I believe that when they came up with the WWE Network, they thought it was going to be like throwing chum in the water and a million fish would come and eat it right away. It didn't work that way. It didn't work that way. A lot of people came and bought it, and they go, wait a minute, I'm having trouble getting it on my streaming's not good, the connection is poor, I can't put up with this, the bang for my buck. They're telling me what I'm going to watch. I don't want that. I want to be able to watch what I want to watch, and I want you to offer what I need. Learn that, and you will have the key to success.
Unbelievable. Wrestling fans, whether you love the network, hate the network, bottom line is we're living history, because this is going to be a format I think you're going to see more and more television companies go to as time goes on.
Vince has set the bar.
Absolutely.
And regardless of what anybody wants to say about the network, Vince McMahon has said this is the wave of the future. I agree with you 100%, Dan. You're going to see more and more TV companies, satellite, cable, they're all going to go the same way.
Unbelievable. Wrestling fans, running out of time on this program. Remember, tomorrow Wednesday, November the 5th, we'll have news about holiday headlocks on BostonWrestling.com. Until we speak again, fans, be well.